I want to quit my job. I want to quit my job. I want to quit my job. I don't know how many times I woke up on Monday mornings thinking that to myself, how fed up I was with the 9 to 5 grind and trying to contemplate and read, meditate, study, and find ways in which I could quit my job. But my struggle was that I didn't have the time because, like so many of us, all we ever knew was the boxed, linear mentality of the safe route of finding a job. And I was stuck in the tutorial phase for years. And I remember coming across a Dan Coe video where he talked about sparking a glitch in the matrix, and that one could never make a leap of faith or never make a jump because it was too risky. It was too difficult to build an online business from scratch. And as I contemplated this, I thought to myself, what would it take? What would it take to spark a glitch in the matrix so that I could just take a leap of faith and build a business and make my first sales online? What would it take? And little did I know a few months later that something abrupt would happen and spark a glitch in the matrix. So I found myself at that time staying up late a lot and studying videos, journaling, writing, taking online courses, and then I would wake up early, go to work, and then when I'd get home from work, I would go to sleep, wake up right before dinner, put the family to bed, eat, and then stay up late again. And I did this for months. And during this time, I felt like I was in integrity with my family, within my relationship, and me and my significant other started to grow apart. As we moved forward into the winter and the holiday season, myself and my relationship fell apart abruptly, and I went into this emotional depression, a very difficult time where my home was in chaos. But one thing that I had going for me at that time was being asked to take care of healing work for others. It's something that I was born to do and had been doing it for years up to this point. And so in the midst of these trials and tribulations, I found myself having to really double down on my principles, reading and prayer, meditation, healing modalities. And I eventually quit my job due to the overwhelming emotional turmoil that I was experiencing. And as I moved into the spring of this past year, I started building more online, started creating my first courses, started creating YouTube videos, started creating content, writing and building a newsletter and speaking with mentors. And then I jumped into a 6-week cohort called YouTube Profits. And although these courses were really helpful and doing the one-to-one coaching with other creators that I admired, this really helped, but I really felt lost. I felt overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do, who to turn to, and if I would even succeed at this new venture. And by the good graces, a few things fell in my lap. I had a few speaking engagements that allowed for me to create a life where I could build my speaking skills, refine what skills that I had already been developing, and create content on the side. And this allowed me some wiggle room to start building an online presence, posting as regularly as I could and writing a lot, studying a lot. And as I moved on into the summer, I started to get a lot of confirmation from the universe and from others that revealed to me that there was a place for me in the online education space and just the education space in general. So I started to double down on my efforts. I started to record more. I started to speak more, host more Zooms. And up to this point, as I moved into the summer, I had been procrastinating on hosting live events such as live Q&As and live workshops. And I finally overcame this fear around the end of the summer, and I started hosting live Zooms. And on the first live Zoom that I hosted, by the good graces of the universe and the higher power, I assigned my first clients. And I started coaching people one-to-one and using all of the spiritual principles that had got me through these tough times in life and had gotten me through when it comes to healing and comes to manifestation and holistic health and many other things. So once I signed my first client, I had a renewed sense of belief in myself, and I found my way to a men's retreat where we did a lot of internal emotional healing work. And after returning from this men's retreat, I found a new sense of clarity in life, a new sense of grounding and confidence in who I was, and something in the heart unlocked, a feeling of refreshed mind, refreshed spiritual energy, refreshed emotional balance, and even physical energy. And as I started speaking and creating, I began to speak with more people one-on-one, and then I was honored to be asked to join a podcast from some of the leaders who facilitated the men's work retreat that I attended. And this led to more people reaching out, more people acknowledging some of the modalities that I had been speaking on. And fast forward to now, the current time. I am currently in a situation where I am building confidently. I've made more in the past 9 months that I have made in over the course of 12 months in my teaching job. And as I sit here now and as I reflect on how this all manifested, I will say there were a few things that were key to this. Number one, I would say the rewiring of the brain to embody these new versions of ourselves. It takes time. And along with rewiring the brain is overcoming your limiting beliefs, having belief in yourself that you have the capability to provide for yourself and take care of yourself outside of a 9-to-5 job. And that is no small feat. That is extremely difficult to do, because if your whole life you're wired for a boxed mentality, a 9-to-5 job, and all you know internally and externally is that life, it is scary and overwhelming and a huge learning curve, especially if you have a family and dependents who look to you for providing for them. And so that rewiring process, that was a small incremental growth process that I had to cultivate over many nights and many days, tracking myself, auditing my processes, journaling, speaking to mentors, and then putting actions behind the ideas. And so I say that to go on to say that for anybody out there who is looking to make a quantum leap themselves, it's possible. And the next factor that was really important was finding my way to the right guidance and finding my way to the right mentors. For the longest time, I felt like I had to have all the answers myself, and that it didn't make sense to hire help, that it didn't make sense to hire mentors to help guide me on this journey. And when I started paying for more services, and when I started to when I started to pay for more services and get more guidance, that also gave me the belief and gave me the empowerment that I needed to jump. And yes, of course, a lot of times I was afraid. A lot of times I was scared. I wasn't sure if it was even going to work out. But slowly but surely, little by little, things started to fall in place for me. And if I were to go back and talk to myself last year or a couple years ago when I was first studying and researching online education business, I wish I could tell myself to believe in myself a little more and put a little more action behind the modalities, even though I was unsure, even though I was afraid, even though it was overwhelming. I wish I would have created just a little bit more, turned on the camera a little bit more, posted a little more, wrote newsletters a little more, embedded a few more calls to action in my videos. And I wish I would have reached out to potential leads a little more and I would have manifested the things that I am living now a little quicker. But you live and you learn. You could never predict the future, and we don't know what we don't know. And if there's anybody out there who is working a 9-to-5 or needing guidance in building an online community, or looking to develop your life's work in developing spiritual principles, community building principles, mindset principles, I am currently doing a lot of one-to-one guidance and mentoring and done for you work for some of my higher tier clients. This is my quick check-in for the week. I didn't want to overcomplicate the process. I just wanted to, in a way, log a digital journal entry, share a little bit about my wins, some of the things that I learned, some of the things that I wish I could have told myself, my past self, and also just to embody the person who likes to speak on camera, who likes to create, who likes to post. So this is going to be one video of many more to come. I'm going to try not to overthink. Let me reword that. I am not going to overthink my videos indefinitely for a while. I'm just going to record them from the heart. Not going to overthink the titles for a while. Not going to overthink the thumbnails. And I'm going to show up from the heart and let us see what the universe reciprocates back to us. And to close, I will say, one of the foundational lessons I learned through this journey of the past 9 months is the universe can only reciprocate back to you abundance when you set the intention to serve others and when you provide services to many. And more on that in a future video. I'm going to put a comma right there in the talk. So with that, if anything in today's video resonated, please feel free to check out the links in the description. And I am giving one-to-one guidance calls for those who join my school community. Looking forward to seeing you on the other side. Until the next one, be well, be blessed.